turn our attention to something perhaps not quite what we would normally focus on, another province. As mostly residents of Gauteng 702 landers, I think it's important to see what is being done in other province and perhaps if there are questions and solutions to be imitated and learned from. So KZN has been under financial strain, billions in unpaid supplier debt. They've faced years of budget cuts from National Treasury and really the pressure to fix basic services. That's the story of every province. But the KZN Finance MEC, Francois Rodgers, is now in Gauteng. He's on what he's calling a media accountability tour. He wants to explain what he's doing, but he also says he's prepared to face the tough questions. And so he's joined us in studio this morning. Welcome to 702 Breakfast, and thank you for coming in all the way.
Good morning, Bongani, and good morning to your listeners.
Just talk to me. You are, of course, the Finance MEC in KZN, largely because of the coalition that we refer to as the Government of National Unity, both at national level and provincial level. You are the leader of the Democratic Alliance in KZN. What did you expect to find, and what did you find in the coffers?
Well, I didn't expect the situation to be as bad as it is, particularly from a finance perspective. Obviously, I served in the opposition benches on the Finance Portfolio Committee. And being in opposition is a lot easier than being in government. So easy to criticize.
Yes.
But when you take the reins, it's very difficult to bring about change.
What has surprised you the most about that jump? Because as you say, it's easy to criticize. It's easy to say, wow, 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 wow. What have you thought, oh, hang on, that wasn't as easy as I thought?
Well, the problem is money, or the lack of money. I always use the saying, generally politicians don't care too much for money until there is no money. Then they ask, well, what happened to the money? And I think that's one of the biggest challenges, is to make a difference, as you said in your intro. We've got to focus on service delivery, even though we're going through critical fiscal constraints. So literally every rand has to become focused on making a difference in the lives of our people.
So how bad is it?
It's very bad. It's
Give
very
me a
bad.
sense of that. What does that mean?
So if you put some numbers to it, over the last 8 years, going back from 2022, our budgets were cut by about 80 billion rand, our equitable share from National Treasury. And that was because we were bailing out state-owned entities. As you remember, we had some bad policy decisions and we were bailing out entities, and we had to take the cuts. So the Department of Education, Department of Health, all departments had to cut their baselines. We never returned to that original baseline.
And that's not unique to KZN, though.
Definitely not. Look, KZN is not the only province that's in dire straits. Most provinces are in dire straits.
So are you saying things were bad because of these budget cuts from National Treasury, or are you saying that you found things in a dire state because of how previous regimes in KZN had operated?
Well, I think Minister Godongwana, the National Minister of Finance, has also admitted that, there were some bad policy decisions made regarding state-owned entities, and we were pumping money into those. We were also borrowing money. I mean, our national debt sits, as you should know, just below 7 trillion, 1.2 billion rand a day on interest servicing that, which is more than we spend on health and education in the country. So, it's not of our own making, but we'll get out of it. And that's why we've put together our recovery plan.
All right, let's talk about it. I think the debt you owe suppliers is close on 20 billion rand, depending on how you break it down. If you've had these budget cuts that you've inherited, how are you going to pay those suppliers?
Well, you've got to put a policy in place. And that's part of the financial recovery plan. And also we've got to look at our budgeting methodology, Bongani. In the past, what government's done is said, well, what did we spend last year on health? Let's add on CPI. That's your budget for this year. That can't work anymore. We have an envelope of money, and we have to protect our frontline departments. Health, education, social development, those should be the critical portfolios. What's left must then cascade through to other departments. It's a very difficult exercise, very uncomfortable exercise. But if it's an exercise we don't undertake, we're never going to get ourselves out of this cycle.
Where are you going to find the 20 billion?
Out of realigning our budget, redoing our budget methodology.
Robbing Peter to pay Paul?
It's exactly what it is. Priorities. What is a priority? Is a priority holding events in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, or is our priority looking after health and education?
Where have some of the worst excesses in terms of wastage been?
Subsistence and travel, vehicles.
This is for officials.
This is for officials and MECs. You remember when I took office, I came down very hard on the members of the executive, on the value of the vehicles that they were driving. I pride myself, I drive a Golf, and I think we all need to humble ourselves. There's no need to drive fancy vehicles, particularly when we're in this fiscal crisis. There's, for example...
What does it cost to have an MEC? I'm thinking in terms of their staff, their office, their vehicles, protection services. I'm thinking their residents. What does it cost to have an MEC?
Okay, MECs in KZN don't have residents, unless Public Works has a residence. So we don't have the benefit that national ministers, for example, have.
So does that then mean you have to upgrade their security in their private homes?
No. In terms of the ministerial handbook, that's not allowed. Unless there's a threat analysis done, there is no allowance for MECs to upgrade security in their private properties.
All right.
So we've been quite strict there.
Give me the picture. What does it cost to have an MEC?
It's a very difficult question because each ministry and each department has a different size. But I would imagine to run a ministry with an MEC and his staff, round about the 30 million.
Yeah.
Yes.
And how many MECs do you guys have?
What do we have, 11?
11 MECs. So you can do the maths there. One of the things that I think has been regrettable about KZN is the unexploited tourism opportunity the province offers, and yet tourism numbers aren't as high as they ought to be.
Bongani, you're right. But I think, since COVID, we took a huge knock in COVID. One of the areas we took a knock in is historical tourism. We used to have flights. British Airways used to fly direct to Durban, and we had a lot of our Zulu and war sites were visited. That's something we're working on redeveloping. You'll know that there's some huge developments busy taking place on the north coast, just north of Durban. So it's certainly something that we have prioritized, and that we are busy coming up with strategies and marketing plans to reintroduce that aspect of revenue.
Is there focus on agriculture, growing that?
Absolutely, there has to be, particularly in what's happening globally with tariffs. I see just today Botswana has also stopped all import of fresh produce from South Africa. So we have to look at our agricultural sphere and our sector, and we have to ensure that we create the necessary vehicles in order to escalate production.
But of course, the coalition that runs KZN remains insecure, do you not? Because the party that received the most votes is Mkhonto weSizwe, and they keep threatening to find the numbers that could overtake your coalition. All of these plans, all of these improvements could come to naught.
Indeed, but it's the rules of the game. I can't change the rules of the game. They obviously feel aggrieved. They got the most votes, but the rule of the game also allows coalition governments, and we believe we're on the right track.
They say things are deteriorating.
I certainly can't believe that. I think between last year and this year, already from my perspective as the treasurer, our projected over expenditures reduced by 2 billion rand. That's substantial.
You're on this national accountability tour. Some might cynically say you're just trying to raise your national profile. Shouldn't you be explaining all of these things to KZNers?
I do that all the time, but I also get requests for interviews from radio stations across the country. So I just feel it's the opportune time. We've just succeeded in the Atala Bank matter, the financial recovery plan. And of course, lots of people want to know about the motion of no confidence. And I think part of our financial recovery plan is communication. I think it's important.
What do you want Gautengers to think about KZN? I know you're not in charge of tourism specifically, but for many who may still make a last-minute decision about what they want to do this December, this holiday period. What do you want to say about your province to Gautengers listening to us?
We're open to receive you, and we look forward to receiving you. We're doing some wonderful work on infrastructure, on our roads, on our ports, and as I said, there's some really exciting developments on the tourist side. We have the master of containing crime. We have Lieutenant General Mkwanazi. So, when you come to our province,
You'll be safe.
you'll be safe.
Yes, Mkwanazi. All right, we'll have to leave it there. Francois Rodgers, appreciate your time. KZN Finance MEC, talking to us about that province's financial recovery plan.
Current events, developing stories,
Tough questions.
your voice making a difference.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa.